Tamerlane, The Life and Legacy of the Legendary Mongol Conqueror. Written by Charles River Editors. Narrated by Casey Wayman. In a world fascinated by men like Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar, Genghis Khan is one of history's greatest and most famous conquerors. No man before or since has ever started with so little and gone on to achieve so much. From a noble family that was raised in poverty that drove him to the brink of starvation, Genghis Khan rose to control the second largest empire the world has ever known, the largest being arguably the British Empire of the 18th and 19th centuries, and easily the largest empire conquered by a single man. And while many empires disintegrate upon the death of an emperor, like Alexander the Great's, Genghis Khan's empire endured and was actually enlarged by his successors, who went on to establish dynasties that in some cases lasted 4 centuries. Though history is usually written by the victors, the lack of a particularly strong writing tradition from the Mongols ensured that history was largely written by those who they vanquished. Because of this, their portrayal in the West and the Middle East has been extraordinarily, and in many ways unfairly, negative for centuries, at least until recent revisions to the historical record. The Mongols have long been depicted as wild horse archers galloping out of the dawn to rape, pillage, murder, and enslave. But the Mongol army was a highly sophisticated, minutely organized, and incredibly adaptive and innovative institution, as witnessed by the fact that it was successful in conquering enemies who employed completely different weaponry and different styles of fighting, from Chinese armored infantry to Middle Eastern camel, cavalry, and Western knights and men-at-arms. Likewise, the infrastructure and administrative core which governed the empire, though largely borrowed from the Chinese, was inventive, practical, and extraordinarily modern and efficient. This was no fly-by-night enterprise, but a sophisticated, complex, and extremely well-oiled machine. Aside from Genghis and his grandson, Kublai Khan, the most famous Mongol conqueror was Tamerlane, who dominated Eurasia in the 14th century. He was known by the name Timur in Asia, while the Europeans used the name Tamerlane, which came from the Persian Timur ilang, meaning Timur the Lame. This was intended to be an insult referring to crippling injuries he received to his right leg and arm as a young man, probably from arrows, but clearly his injuries did not prevent him from spending much of his lifetime in the saddle. Tamerlane came from a Turkicized Mongol tribe, the Barlas, which had several constituent subclans. A number of original Mongol tribes had migrated west, where the majority of the population was Turkish, and over time the Mongols blended with the Turks.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?